The true point where life begins is the moment of death with dancing limbs. Don't make it cake for the darkness to take. Just keep dancing till the labyrinth breaks. Placed in your path by dastardly acts, the Janu Twain, you and true living, just out of view, do not pay heed. Those deceptions received, just keep dancing. IEA-OU. William Caxton brought the first mechanized printing press to England in 1476. Prior to this, the handwritten text had been spelled pretty much however each particular scribe wanted to spell them, according to the scribe's own dialect. Constantly there are forces above and below, willing, forcing, nudging you into the grooves of their record. Reincarnation, spinning round and round, never rising. The sixth sickle, which is not our true resurrection, is like the needle of their archonic record player. The tune being played be the deception. We are the instruments weaving the lie for the deceivers. We simply have to play out of tune with the momentum of the very room to get a glance and to truly see behind the veil spun by the gatekeeper's dream. That death is the ultimate illusion, known to the Stillverse as fact. If you kill your enemy in anger, you only make them stronger. For what made our enemies evil does not stay fixed in the material, but flows through the surrounding field. And from the rocks, rivers, and animals, evil will steal a makeshift sort of vessel and pursue you to the ends of the earth, not sleeping till your blood's been curdled. So don't raise weapons of steel. Expand the power of your field. In symmetric rings of bellowing sound, profound spheres of perception and protection abound. Anger, lust, hate are weapons the enemy made. If you wield them from your hand, evil's vision upon your instrument strung, and in this matrix you will remain another 100,000 times around the sun. The bell curve describes the absorption into the subatomic, the deluge, the world growing around you until it reaches your mental toes. When you refuse to grow, then you begin to shrink as the growing world consumes the matter you cling to. Owaspi, chapter XLIL, Book of Fragapati. Be it known, O angels and mortals, such is the glory of the Great Spirit's work that, stand where ye will, his kingdoms are always seeming above. As ye of the earth look upward and behold the stars, so they that live on the stars look upward to see the earth. If, therefore, ye were receiving messengers from the stars, it would seem to you that they came downward, but to them as if they rose upward, even until near the landing place, when it would be downward to them also. Because the feet of a mortal or the feet of an angel are on the foundation of his place, and because his head standeth in the opposite way from his feet. Owaspi, chapter XLIII. God, that is Samati, said, in my hands gavest thou the red star unto her heavens. O Great Spirit, as an emblem, thy first three worlds, and of the first, second, and third resurrections, thy Son bestowed upon me the triangle. Behold, the time of my reign hath come to an end. With thy holy harvest thou callest me to a higher world. But thou hast raised up thy Son, Hohab, who is of great wisdom and power in thee. He shall be thy God and thy Son in the places I have been. To him in thy name, O Father, I bestow the triangle symbol of thee and of thy created worlds, and of the individuals thereof. By my parting with it is the end of this dawn recorded. By Hoab's reception of it, his dominion begun. God then took off the triangle and hung it on Hoab, saying, I salute thee, God of earth and heaven. Legend of Gal Shurva, the creation story. Ahura Mazda, the embodiment of life and wisdom, uncreated and eternal, lives in everlasting light. He wished to manifest himself, so he brought forth 6 divine powers. Vahumana, the good mind. Asha, cosmic order, truth, justice. Kshatra, sovereignty, kingdom, power. Armaiti, love, devotion, piety, zeal. Harvata, perfection. And Emerita, immortality. Himself being the 7th and supreme power, including all. From Vahumana, the good mind, movement entered the static world of matter. From the essence of the material world, he first created the sky, which is celestial fire. Secondly, he created the element water. Third, the earth. Fourth, planets. Fifth, cattle. Sixth, man. From the boundless, everlasting light, he created fire in manifest form. The first material creation was water, from which arose all things, except the seed of man and cattle, for that seed has the seed of fire in it. He then fashioned Gavievda, corrupted to Gayodad, from the earth on the banks of the river Daiti, Oxus, which runs through the middle of the earth. The bull was white and shining like the moon, and his height was about 3 cubits. Next he fashioned a Gayomard, mortal man from the earth, on the banks of the river Daiti, which is in the middle of the earth. Gayomard was about 4 cubits tall, and his width was about 3 cubits. Then from the light and freshness of the sky, he fashioned the seed of man and bulls, for these seeds have their origin in fire, not in water. He placed the seeds in the bodies of the man and the bull, so that there would be abundant progeny for men and cattle. All at once, from the bowels of the earth, there burst forth Angramanyu, the hostile spirit. He poured forth an avalanche of evils on Gayomard, the man, and on Gayodad, the bull, evils of greed, gluttony, pain, disease, lust, and sloth. On the plants he cast a blight and such poison that they withered away in an instant. But even as they were dying, they said, "By the moisture that belongs to Ahura Mazda, he will cause us to grow again." On Gayomard and Gayodad, Angramanyu poured more calamities, lechery, want, pain, disease, and sloth. Gayomard, with his last breath, proclaimed, "The aggressor has come now, but men will arise from my seed, and it is best for them to do good work." But before Angramanyu could reach Gayodad the bull, Ahura Mazda gave him bhang to chew. He rubbed some of the leaves on the animal's eyes so that he would suffer less from Angramanyu's tortures. The bull grew pale and sickened, but his pain was short-lived. Straightway he died. But with his dying breath he uttered these words, "Let the actions and deeds of men work for perfect rule over the animal creation." Yet all was not lost. From the dead body of the bull there rose his living soul, Gal Shurva. She stood before the body, and in a voice like that of an army of 1,000 men crying out loud, together she questioned Ahura Mazda. "In whose hands have you trusted the care of your creatures, now that ruin has penetrated the earth, plants withered, and the waters troubled? Where is he, the man Zarathustra, whom you had promised? I will bring him forth so that he may teach mankind reverence and care for everything that lives, every leaf and flower, every bird in the air, air, every fish in the waters, every four-footed animal that roams the earth. Uhura replied, "You are ill, O Galshurva. You suffer from the sickness which the evil spirit has brought upon you. The time has not yet come for me to bring forth the man who will teach reverence and care for everything that lives. Be patient." But Galshurva turned away in anger and despair. At one stride she reached the station of the stars, and in a voice like the war cry of an army of 1,000 men she called for help. But the stars darkened and hung their heads in misery. They could not help Galshurva. Forth went Galshurva, and at one stride reached the station of the moon. Crying out with the voice of 1,000 men, she demanded help, but the moon covered her face with clouds and shed secret tears. She could not help Galshurva. Forth went Galshurva, and with one stride reached the station of the sun. There the Fravashi of Zarathustra appeared before her. She gazed in wonder at the angelic form. From the golden depths of the sun came the voice of Ahura Mazda. "For the sake of the world I will produce him who will teach reverence and care for everything that lives." Then Galshurva was content. She said to herself, "I will go down to the earth and nourish the creatures." She collected the seed of man from the sun and the seed of the bull from the moon, and returned to the earth. There she called upon Minoram, the spirit of abounding peace, and together they distributed the seed of the man and the seed of the bull throughout the earth. The waters began to flow. They sparkled in the springs, gleamed in the winding rivers, and flowed in fullness to the sea. The land burst into leaf, flower, and fruit. Animals in droves roamed the forests and the pasture lands. Birds of many colored plumage flew in the sky. Silver-scaled fish leapt and danced in the rivers and lakes. Galshurva smiled. A great happiness stole into her heart as she gazed upon her children. But Angramanyu nursed revenge. Again he attacked the earth and all her creatures. The waters dried up, plants withered, men and animals died by the hundred. Their bleached bones lay scattered on plain and hillside. The parched earth cracked and was burnt black by the scorching sun. Desolation stalked the land. Galshurva sat in the midst of this desolation and waited for the man, Zarathustra, who would teach reverence and care for everything that lives. Thus spoke Zarathustra. When Zarathustra was 30 years old, he left his home and the lake of his home, and went into the mountains. There he enjoyed his spirit in solitude, and for 10 years did not weary of it. But at last his heart changed, and rising one morning with the rosy dawn, he went before the sun and spake thus unto it: "Thou great star, what would be thy happiness if thou hast not those for whom thou shinest? For 10 years hast thou climbed hither unto my cave. Thou wouldst have wearied of thy light and of thy journey, had it not been for me, mine eagle and my serpent. But we awaited thee every morning, took from thee thine overflow, and blessed thee for it. Lo, I am weary of my wisdom. Like the bee that hath gathered too much honey, I need hands outstretched to take it. I would fain bestow and distribute, until the wise have once more become joyous in their folly, and the poor happy in their riches. Therefore I must descend into the deep, as thou doest in the evening, when thou goest behind the sea, and givest light also to the nether world, thou exuberant star. Like thee must I go down, as men say to whom I shall descend. Bless me, then, thou tranquil eye, that canst behold even the greatest happiness without envy. Bless the cup that is about to overflow, that the water may flow golden out of it, and carry everywhere the reflection of thy bliss. Lo, this cup is again going to empty itself, and Zarathustra is again going to be a man." Thus began Zarathustra's going down. Chapter 30, the famous wise ones. But the people ye remain for me, even with your virtues, the people with purblind eyes, the people who know not what spirit is. Spirit is life, which itself cutteth into life. By its own torture doth it increase its own knowledge. Did ye know that before? And the Spirit's happiness is this, to be anointed and consecrated with tears as a sacrificial victim. Did ye know that before? And the blindness of the blind one, and he is seeking and groping, shall yet testify to the power of the sun into which he has gazed. Did you know that before? And with the mountains shall the discerning one learn to build. It is a small thing for the Spirit to remove mountains. Ye know only the sparks of the Spirit, but ye do not see the anvil which it is, and the cruelty of its hammer. Verily, ye know not the Spirit's pride, but still less could ye endure the Spirit's humility, should it ever want to speak. And never yet could ye cast your spirit into a pit of snow. Ye are not hot enough for that. Thus are ye unaware also of the delight of its coldness. In all respects, however, ye make too familiar with the Spirit, and out of wisdom have ye often made an almshouse and a hospital for bad poets. Ye are not eagles, thus have ye never experienced the happiness of the alarm of the Spirit. And he who is not a bird should not camp above abysses. Ye seem to me lukewarm ones, but coldly flow with all deep knowledge. Ice cold are the innermost wells of the Spirit, a refreshment too hot, hands and handlers. Respectable do ye there stand and stiff, and with straight backs, ye famous wise ones. No strong wind or will impelleth you. Have ye never seen a sail crossing the sea, rounded and inflated and trembling with the violence of the wind? Like the sail trembling with the violence of the Spirit, doth my wisdom cross the sea, my wild wisdom. But ye servants of the people, ye famous wise ones, how could ye go with me? Thus spoke Zarathustra. I have lived many lives, but for those who want proof, well, in a world made of lies, I take great solace in the fact that every time I pick up one of my old books, I immediately fall upon words I desire to share with you. O world, how could you have been steered so wrong, without the guided hand of some nefarious forces, when such fountains of beautiful wisdom lay upon your bludgeoned land's shoulders, resting quietly in the dusty pages of old books, contained silently only by the darkness enforced by the closing of its pages, by the refusal to digest and to strive to accurately process that which is conveyed in the red and is scribbled in the black and is stained all over. These old books, which I wish to share piece by piece with you, have a lot more to say when the keys to the lighthouse are prepared for you. Why aren't there more maps of the spirit world? Even as spiritual people, our minds are still focused on matter, confusing what remains on the matter. The ancients weren't talking about matter, but illustrated it so for self-reference. We are connected to a spirit world, one that extends beyond modern imagining. We, at the apex of a point where wishes become heavy. If you equate yourself with biology, I dare you to think of biology as crossing over. Then imagine the biology void of matter. It's not the matter, but the flowing cymatic energy that makes biology living, right? All your testable components can be found scattered about as matter, which is all biology, as Mud Fossil University has shown. Ancient texts do not dispute this. We are in the world of the corpses, the corporeal, corpses of ore, the sun, electric, real. Biology is more complex than what has been led to believe, and the true actual force propelling you and me, not needing matter, the likes of which, biology so rich, it mocks your sticks and stones that built your bones, and they trembled tree leaves when one worked with them so. To occupy a space, it had to be made just right, capable of holding the light. Read between the lines that what's going on today has happened before in its own way. Take into account the brilliant William Blake would not have been let to exist if his work was not so cryptic. He does not just come out and say it, but performs a type of literary jazz to his concepts. The age and tongue of this great rebel of mind is right on the precipice of a language long lost after the vowel shift, but before grammatical standardization and a whole lot of nefarious linguistic designs. That we live in a distillation system is the first step to discerning the fluid rooms of the Stillverse. But is the system functioning properly? That is the question. Look at biology. You will find all biology is a distillation system of systems. Whether it be extracting energy from matter or waste from cells, you are a distillation device. You have been designed. Like the store-bought blank canvases of the modern artist, rarely capable of building their own canvas, an art outside of the artist's modern capabilities due to the dumbing down, due to the desire to sell rather than educate. The erroneous devices of our modern world have taken the artist and limited his skills, confined his realms, isolated and surrounded by darkness, led by his intellect alone. He is the dripping sanctity of deceit that so governs the modern world. The artist has been deceived. The artist has become one with the deceiver, displaying in their public works the very disconnect we all suffer, as if proof to the layman, the everyday viewer. See that? Even the visionaries of our age feel completely alone. There are no secrets to be shown. There is no all-person. There is no highest wisdom. Little does the onlooker know of what's been hidden from their view. All of the artists that could see what is true have no public works. They can hardly pay their dues.